Just FYI, there's a kind of bonus section at the end of this with some pro-level gameplay being analyzed. If you're interested in learning more about this matchup, stick around for that. Alright everybody, we're gonna do something a little bit different today, and that is watch a replay with me that I played recently. This is me on the right here in blue, playing Japan. Up against an opponent playing Ayyubids, called Steve. Everybody say hi, Steve. And we're gonna check out this replay specifically, one, because I always want to look at maps. I just recently learned a bunch of stuff about Relic River that I didn't know about. Yeah, and we're learning something here already. All the relics are along the middle part of this map. I did not know that. That doesn't seem like it's just a random coincidence. It's probably by design, right? And also, let's count the deer, because there seem to be a ton of deer on this map. So this half, that's already 13, and there's these 3 special ones. Oh, and that's another 10 pack, right? Yeah. Well, that's 29 deer just on one half of the map. That's more than double what you normally get. Okay, that's a lot of deer. Anyway, you should probably play deer on this map then, right? Like some kind of pro scout civ. Just gather all these up. Have enough food for the rest of the game. Anyway. That's not even what I'm struggling with, that's just what I was curious about. This matchup specifically has been one that has always been somewhat tricky for me, because the general playstyle for Japan is to just go fast castle. But Ayyubid, with their discount age up, or the one that goes for the dervish early, either of these make it very hard to keep up pace with the Ayyubid towards the castle age. And when you do hit castle, you kind of want to be first, very much so, to get the relics. And in either case, it always seemed to me that Ayyubids just have a leg up there, and as Japan, you kind of struggle to get anything done. But then, I watched a couple of pro players play this matchup, and they did not struggle the way I did at all. So I'm trying to find out right now what it is that I'm doing wrong. This early game's a little bit boring, except for me risking it a little bit here to kill these deer. I think it might actually be worth it. Deer have a very fast gathering rate, especially if you get them close. Yeah. I kind of wanted to stall out here anyway, because if we check out my Fog of War, I kind of didn't want to leave towards the top right here or go back to base yet, because I hadn't scouted the House of Wisdom yet, which I'm doing now. So just use the time to kill these 2 deer. Now I can see that he's going for the military wing here, which is usually this one that we're seeing here, which spawns a desert raider every 15 seconds for free. And those 2 kind of make this a hard matchup in my mind, because this is a perfect harassment unit, so you can like poke around here. If you build a tower here, they're gonna come around right side and poke at you here, and all of this slows down your castle age even further. Which again, when it comes to the race for the relics, puts you behind. And therefore puts you behind in like the most important aspect of the middle of this game, I think. I'm home now, I'm pushing these deer in. I probably could have positioned my Cura stores over here, then I wouldn't have had to push these deer at all, basically. Yeah. Also screwed up that deer positioning, but yeah, never mind. I'm going for wood here. How many did I end up putting on wood? 4 already? That's kind of a lot. I really should be aiming for to go like fast cast right here. 8 on wood is way too much. I should go at 5 on gold right away, and maybe 3 on wood, and everybody else just goes food. That's like the ideal ratio that I've seen from a lot of pro players. I did make a mistake here, I think, because I saw this military wing and I got scared that there might be some more aggression coming, which honestly, looking back on it, seems foolish. But I wanted to get some kind of production building out, and here we go for the stable. In my mind, I thought that like horsemen do decently against desert raiders. And you see this guy gliding across the screen. That's kinda true. They count as ranged and melee, so horsemen do deal bonus damage to them, but of course they also have their damage reduced. What is there? Oh, they do have 13 bonus damage to cavalry, so they actually fuck up cavalry kinda hard. How much do desert raiders cost? Oh, we don't have a stable, so we don't know. Yeah, I built a couple of horsemen here and built a tower. That's probably overkill. If I just put a second tower here instead of building a stable, I would have been fine. Right now, yeah, I'm kinda overkilling on gold and undershooting on food. Although, do I have to say, with this 3 deer available, I have more than enough food to make it to castle here without running out of sheep at all. There's even more sheep coming in here, and this I thought this would be fairly even, but man, it's not at all. I'll have to see. Yeah, this is unfortunate. As you can see, like, the line indicates that the Desert Raider is out of range, but it's not actually. This range indicator is very glitched. It probably goes to about here, actually, so a unit position here would be just barely out of range. I don't like that. I think they should fix that and make it just a line that really clearly indicates the range. I went for 3 horsemen here, which is probably overkill. Maybe that's part of the reason why I struggled in the mid game here, because I overinvested in these horsemen. One goes down immediately, and now we're seeing a 2 versus... Oh, that's a scout, actually. I mean, they do deal decent damage to these guys, but... That's like 12 per attack. But yeah, they take 26 in return, that's kind of a lot. My opponent has started the age up timing for the castle age. Which does make sense, since they did not waste a bunch of money on horsemen that they didn't need. Trying to return the harassment, but I've actually taken so much damage here that I can't even kinda go into range of this gold mine. Also, how unfair is this? The entire gold mine is in the town center, and for me... Oh, it is too. I didn't know that. So this gold spawns closer than most? Because the trend recently has been more that the entirety of the gold has been out of range. Yeah. Maybe it's another thing to learn here about this map. Seeing a blacksmith coming up. Let's check the price for Desert Raiders. Oh, they are expensive as hell. 180 resources in total. Interesting. So they are basically like not twice as expensive as a horseman, but you know, 50% more. I should run that matchup for a future video, just because of curiosity. You know what, I'm gonna actually just put it in here, fuck it. That was way more one-sided than I thought. But back to the game now. Yeah, I also got for... Yeah, went for Bannerman relatively early on. The first upgrade for the town center is relatively cheap to get. It's 175 stone. And as Japan, of course, you do get passive stone from gathering gold. So I could upgrade my town center once and get this Bannerman, which is absolutely the one you want in this exact build order, because we're going for the floating gate for the castle age. And we're gonna be spamming a bunch of mounted samurai. Now, the other thing is what I'm looking at here right now. Yeah, this is crazy. I have zero chance, I feel like, of getting relic seekers. My opponent, granted, because I fucked up, that's actually part of the problem. Let's pause right here. I fucked up by building the stable. I wasted resources by building the stable, and therefore, like, I could fend off the desert raiders, but a tower would have done the same. And that would have allowed me to go for Castle Age much sooner. This kind of amplifies the problem that we're seeing right now, because my opponent went for the age up that gives them free dervishes. I think it's 3, right? There's one here. One here. What can we... add 3. There's another one here, yeah. And these dudes are fast. Like, they have... I mean, that's the movement speed of what? That's slow for a cavalry unit. But oh, this is with a relic on board. So this is, yeah. These all have relics right now. Yeah, I could have been way more out of on the map. I could have had more mounted samurai by this point and been more active, but it still feels to me like if you're not getting 3 relics as the Ayyubid player here with 3 free dervishes and what is probably a faster age up, then you're screwing up somewhere. Let's look at the movement speed without... It's 162, so that's actually regular cavalry. That's like the same speed as knights. Yeah, I'm sending my guy out on the map right now, but it's immediately threatened by these 3 desert raiders. And this is why it's hard to get anything done. I'm trying to get my units across here using the mounted samurai that I have. The first camel lancer spawns. These dudes are pretty freaking hardcore too. Their damage is not as hard as other units, but yeah. Their charge is strong and they also have the camel underneath. It is overall kind of an interesting matchup though, because the mounted samurai do have a block charge which fends off the amplified damage from the camel charge actually quite well. And this is one of those fights that's end up winning, not going well for me at all. I failed to protect my priest that gets picked up. I have to pull out a range here. I kind of thought I was being clever by finishing off that unit with the man-to-man, but I was not trying to use the fact that the Bannerman is immune to being converted, but that didn't work at all. Also, oh yeah, this gets buffed by the relic. I should be aware of that too. Why am I learning so much about this matchup right now? Yeah, this is... The dervish holding a relic is very dangerous and I should absolutely focus that one first. Also, he's still healing his dead friend there, which is kinda grim. And now I can't even get into it, because yeah, it's the same speed as a mounted samurai. And this is the situation I always find myself in this matchup when I go for this build order. In the end, I'm nowhere near getting even one of these relics. Because the other relic was still on the map, my opponent has just stolen it while we were fighting. And now I'm in a very bad position here. I have 1 extra villager for some reason, I'm not sure where that's from. My opponent might have just, I don't know, skipped the villager production somewhere. Maybe it's just a difference in timing, doesn't matter. Basically same eco as far as the villagers and whatnot are concerned, but the difference lies in the fact that my opponent has 5 relics now. If we look at the gold income, that should reflect that. Or the income overall. Actually, it's still kind of even. Are the relics not yet deposited? No, they are about to be though. So we're looking at 700 gold income from my opponent with 16 on gold. Oh no, that's me. We're looking at 750 on my opponent with only 9. I have 16 in gold. And I'm still behind. Okay, so that's actually kind of a lot. Damn. And this is, yeah, this is where I felt like it's gonna be a very hard game, but I also didn't want to quit because... For one, I don't think quitting is that helpful ever. I like healed up my units here at some very wounded samurai, where this helped. And I thought if I can like get an advantage here in the middle of part of the game, is this upcoming part, I can probably snowball to victory, because the relics are most beneficial like the longer the game goes. And if I can end it soon, maybe I can try for something more here. And especially these Onimusha here are fantastic against Camel Lancers. And that's what we're seeing here right now. I'm trying to take the middle of the map to get some gold income, but these villagers are getting focused down right now. And now I'm using the Onimusha to kill these units. I'm honestly not sure who I should be focusing here. I think the Onimusha should probably focus on the Camel Lancers, but these samurai should absolutely kill these dervishes. And surprisingly, I somehow end up winning this. I'm not sure how exactly that went. That went really well for me. Maybe the camel lenses aren't that good against the samurai? I'm not sure. But that went very well for me. It allows me now to secure this middle portion of the map, which I desperately need for the gold income. But I think it's really lies in the Onimusha. Them being able to focus down these rather expensive camel lances is probably very helpful. How much is a camel lancer? 130, 110. So they are actually cheaper, I think, than a regular mounted samurai, right? Yep. Do stats comparison. It's 22 damage baseline at 1.38. 4 melee armor. We have 24 damage baseline with 4 base melee armor every 1.5 seconds. That's a slower attack speed, right? That's not a camel lancer. That's a camel lancer. Also, am I the only one who's annoyed by this? I have no idea how to tell these apart. Like in the midst of battle, it's super hard to tell apart which is veteran desert raider and which is camel lancer. So their damage is lower by 2, but they have a higher attack speed. And HP wise, it's slightly lower. Not a huge difference there. After the camel unease, the damage is kind of the same. Somewhat more HP and a block charge, of course, which is quite powerful. Opponent's trying to rebuild here. Honestly, my opponent should really be stalling here. Like this, what he's doing here right now is correct. This is like taking time, going for more berries. Honestly, you could build another tower here. I should have been harassing. This is all juicy rest targets and I totally ignored all of them. I'm being very passive with these mounted samurai. Having one going out here and just attack whatever I can should really be a given. Another mistake I made here is I started building farms. I would argue that's a mistake. Like we talked about the crazy amount of deer on this map. I should be using them. What my opponent is doing is arguably way better. Should be going for survival technique, so that's actually a fairly important upgrade. Otherwise my opponent's really doing well in terms of the upgrade department. Me, not so much. I have +1 attack, that's it. Oh well. Yeah, lots of improvement down here. I think this is the kind of map you gotta abuse and actually use these food patches. Opponent's still going for more camels. Do desert raiders? No, they're light, right? Yeah. He counts light. You do kind of have more damage than a camel lancer though against mounted samurai anyway. And man, that's a lot of melee armor. Maybe you shouldn't even be going for that many camel lancers here. Okay, my opponent pushes forward here. I've actually done the Japan thing and built a bunch of towers because I cannot build a keep. Now the engagement happens right under these towers. This is a huge mistake by my opponent. First camels die, the retreat happens. I don't think even one mounted samurai has died yet here. And now I'm kinda sensing blood in the water and I'm just gonna go for it. My opponent's running away, trying to retreat, but I'm in a great position here to keep fighting this. My Onimusha have been completely unbothered so far. I'm trying to identify the camel lancers and focus them down. But I'm not doing that great of a job at them. Because again, can't tell them apart. But yeah, my opponent has added a couple of veteran horsemen here trying to focus this down. But this is looking bad for my opponent. He's crashing through. I have a ton more units than my opponent has. And I can retreat these Onimusha anytime that I want. The camel lancers all die. The mounted samurai are still alive. And yeah, this is just where it ends. Because I think I did pretty well there. So what did we learn in terms of trying to get better relics in the middle of the game? Don't go for a stable. That's kinda it, huh? Focus on maybe 2 relics somewhere. I should compare this to a pro level player. And I did. And the most recent EGC, B played the exact same matchup I did there at the much higher level, of course, with a much more success. Actually, he won against Wham playing Ayyubids here. He did this by kind of going the other way than what I suggested. He didn't go for an even faster castle age, but instead he played even more aggressively early on. He He started out by tower rushing the opponent, and then went for like 3 production facilities in feudal age. He still had the barracks, went for an archery range and a stable on top of that, built just a tiny amount of Yumi to deal with the potential desert raiders. He still hits the castle age second, however he does a much better job of then contesting the dervishes that are trying to pick up the relics, and as soon as he hits the castle age himself, he does secure one of the neutral relics in the middle of the map. I think there was a little bit of luck there, but the spears he had built actually fend off the camel lances quite well there. He also had one relic spawn very close to his base, which I think is not something that can happen on Caramel. This match was played on Sacred Grove. There the relic spawns are different than from Caramel. What might be a more important difference, though, is that after hitting Castle Age, he did not actually go for Mounted Samurai initially. He put the first Yoroshiro not into his stable, but into his archery range, and started spamming Onamusha right away and focused on them only. That, of course, works very well against Camel Lancers, although it's very hard to micro, as those Onamusha are very squishy, and if you don't pay attention, you can lose a lot of them very quickly. But yeah, that's probably how it should go. Tower Rush initially, build some units in Feudal Age, contest a neutral relic with Feudal Age units, and then go for mass Onamusha, only adding in Mounted Samurai later. I hope that helped. Certainly changed my view of this matchup. I'm still Trash, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye bye.